The Planning and Zoning Commission, General Plan and Work Meeting of June 5th, 2024. It is, open the meeting at 5:30 on the dot. Ooh, congrats. Thank you, Darlene. So we'll start today, with our expert and, we really appreciate Kevin. Thanks for being here.
You're welcome. All right, how did you all do with your survey questions?
You did all the survey questions. They all have your name up. She did it all.
I created the folders.
Sure.
And, I put them in our SharePoint and, to help locate them for everybody. It's under Planning Commission 2024 General Plan. You can see there's a folder for the 31, for the ones you're a lead in. And then I think Val, I brought them late.
My problem is I'm still thinking.
I'm still thinking.
Economics, so I read Kevin's, well, that's.
Oh, you found the questionnaire.
And yeah, so.
Okay, good.
Is it with you or with Crystal?
It will go to me, all right, and Kent and Ron, I created like a questionnaire, and I put it in resources for all categories.
Oh, okay.
And I have hard copies. And it just asks, I'd like it by Friday, June 7th, and it's just, can you help us set up? Should it start at 2 p.m., those kind of logistical things. The only question not on here yet is. House commissioners. Is the last one, and that is, what other outreach or advertisement do we need to inform the stakeholders? So there's that.
And I suggested alcohol for the refreshments, just so.
Thinking.
And I just made up a bunch of circulation and transportation questions.
Okay.
Everyone can find it.
And I can tell you.
Kevin, so. And some of them are just the same question asked a different way. And this one was maybe more
So Kevin can't see these. He does not have access. You have to do it. So if I start it, be sure to read my.
Sure.
Yeah, this will be easier.
So my thought was, we're a pretty bisected town as far as circulation is considered. For sure. And there is no way to get from my neighborhood to this neighborhood to that neighborhood and to the neighborhood in the west or east of the. Just want to see how important that is to people. I know on the transportation study, when they asked questions, most everybody said they didn't want another road going into their neighborhood or going out, the one they have is enough, but. So I phrased it, if Highway 9 was closed, which an accident could do that, a fire,
Right.
you have a way to get out of town in your car.
That's an interesting question. That's
And I don't know if that's that you have to know, but both of them I tried to write where it had, very important, not important at all, question, but. I figure yes and no, you too, right?
yeah.
You have a funny one.
I mean, I did a couple leading ones, like, bike path. I said, would you rather have it on the highway or a beautiful river?
The really super great river.
So because I've been told that's impossible, but I also learned that meeting in Cedar City, that nothing's impossible to get all the stakeholders involved.
That's right, that's right. And part of it is, it can be, some of those things where there's a concern about the infrastructure because of flooding, then, a gravel path that you could ride a bike on might be an option. Not everyone would not as many would use it,
Right.
but mountain biking and gravel riding is a huge thing, yeah.
Yeah, I know that like parts of the St. George Trail, when they're washed out, it's not gravel, it's like DG, but it's highly compacted and it's just as easy to ride on as a paved surface.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I rode on it the other day.
Yeah. That's the part by the rivers,
Yeah.
which is most of it, is favorite from,
Yes.
what's the question of the Chalk House? Or from the convention center all the way up to Washington City by one, their shop is just a beautiful
That makes sense to you.
ride along the river. Yeah, we have that piece of it.
Yeah.
My concern is
Yeah,
finding that.
you have a bigger tax base there.
I was hoping that Washington County would want to connect.
I know. Well, if it's in the county, then yeah, if it's in the city, I.
So we can go to our point. And then you gave us all a copy of your questions, and we can add those. Do you have a digital copy of them on your computer?
Not this one.
So what you can do is email the other computer to your town account
Oh, okay.
and then copy and paste it out to the shirt. I'll do it.
Or I can scan it.
I saved it
Yeah.
on
Should I
the
scan?
computer, but not as an email.
Oh, then you can't do it, remember?
But you need to go.
Oh, yeah, you gotta be able to access your computer.
Well, we can go over.
We can go over these, and it's just as, and it's easy,
Yeah.
but also just type these.
Yeah, this isn't, yeah, I can, I'll get it to you, additional copy, but tonight we just kind of these up and get them, maybe get 3 or 4 out of here. We can use, and and some of them I have different options. How important is it to you to have sidewalks?
Mhm.
You're in a neighborhood or in town, or just sidewalks in general. And I don't know what condition of road is even a concern for general planning.
Here. Just come on, just chime in.
Yeah, well, it doubles, it's,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of, it doubles the church.
I'm sorry. Hey, Ron, I know y'all been meeting with. Do y'all help people out? Like my wife has stage 4 colon cancer. And we got stranded here and our car broke down, but we got our car fixed and it took all our money. And I get paid Friday, they deposit in my account. We live in Iowa. Do y'all help with like gas and stuff?
Do we
For
have,
church.
I know my church does that kind of stuff. I know it's in Hurricane, but you're stranded here.
Yes, well, I mean, we got enough gas to get to Hurricane, but like we're running really low. Like we had to sleep in our car and it's hard on my wife with her cancer.
So, if, you wanted to give me, is the only way to be contacted, do you have a phone number?
Yes,
If you will give me your phone number, when this meeting is over, which will probably be in a couple of hours, I will call you because I do have some resources that I can direct you to.
okay.
Okay?
Right.
Thank you.
So on SharePoint, we can go to, planning commission 2024 general plan, and then to your folder, very close circulation, there's some questions in there already. And then we can. Well, I will help you if you do account.
I might. I'm in, but this is not my.
It's not SharePoint.
It doesn't seem like, I used to have one of my tabs.
It's like just,
It's the generic.
Yeah, which I can just buy.
Okay, I'm in a shady place and I'll be done in about 2 hours. You give me a call, I'm gonna call Freddie.
Check. This is going.
About her back. Just sit back for a couple hours and I have some contacts.
Yeah.
Okay.
That might be what was the stuff I shared. That's great.
but it might be SharePoint is, I have, make sure, so it didn't show up. Try that again, one other.
From one bit.
Okay. What kind of continuum do you like there for how important is it to you to have safe pedestrian access?
So I think most of the questions were, it was like very important to,
Like before, somewhat important.
yeah, all the way up to 10, like the 1 to 10 scale, isn't that how?
We can do 1 to 10, we can do very important, somewhat important, not important, neutral,
I think a smaller
Something like
is
that.
better, not very important.
to extremely important. But the middle one would be somewhat important, then important, extremely important, not very important, not important. Also, you have the full spectrum
Right.
with neutral.
Are you gonna do neutral, so you'll end up with the same variables, but.
Okay, I mean,
But the one that you gave us as an example, did you have like a 1 to 10 and 1 be not
It doesn't
important?
matter.
I don't know.
So it's kind of.
Either way, it's-
How do you do- Yeah, and,
okay, so you want to scale though.
yeah, most of these questions are scaled and some are yes or no's.
Okay,
And not all of them, some of them are almost the same question, just asked a little bit differently. So they're not too leading.
okay. And we will have a bike pedestrian trail through town.
Right, and it's along the highway, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so one of my questions is, which would you use more, about the pedestrian bike path on Highway
I like
99?
that first.
Or an off-street path that meanders through town connecting facilities and neighborhoods? So for me personally, if the only option was to ride along the 9, I probably would take my bike down to the St. George's path and go right there. If I could
So,
meander through neighborhoods and go over bike bridges and check out the river, then I would actually use the trail instead of.
my only comment, because I've done surveys before and we've had feedback about bias, is meander a neutral word?
No,
You know what I'm saying?
right,
Because to meander to me is,
Well,
what do you
the
think?
meandering is a quality of the path, it either meanders
Okay.
or it's a straight line.
Okay,
So that's a transportation. term. Yeah, that's,
so if you were using it to commute, you would want just a straight line along it. But if you were using it recreationally, you'd want to meander and go through the town.
Right,
park,
you'd want to
by the
see.
river and then up to the falls park and. So I would use that recreation, I wouldn't use the 9 probably recreation, and I wouldn't probably ride off the hill in my bike recreation, if my option was to ride back up on the highway. So, you know, it's a transportation bike path that gets you from Virgin to Springdale or Virgin to Laburton, or is it just one you use recreationally to ride through town? Come to City Hall, pay your water bill, or
What if this question is, which kind of bike path would you use more? Gravel, mountain bike, or meandering through town, you have paved, give them like 3 options and then I wouldn't use any. Like,
would that be an additional?
would that can make it so you got a lot of information in one question or not?
we could ask, we're gonna ask several questions, right?
yeah,
Yeah. However you want. I think,
you can't, I mean, it just depends on how long the survey would be. And some people, if they're interested, they will.
I guess the more we can get into each question, I think well,
One of the things I ran across
yeah.
in one of the surveys I was reading on another town, and I have to look it up again, is would you like to be a part of a focus group? Yes or no? If yes, which topic would you like?
Mhm.
How often is that done? Is that
It
a?
depends on the amount of time that you have, because if you're doing a lot of focus groups, then you're gonna be taking a lot more time to do your plan. So, and it also depends on how you, utilize the focus group, if it's just a one-time meeting, or if it's a multiple meeting, type of it.
I think because we have a need to have it finished, efficiently, I'm not sure I'd want to do multiple focus groups. I think it takes a lot of energy, and you want to put together like their open houses are kind of that.
Yeah, I do not see anything about pedestrians, there's a safe pedestrian bike trail.
Well,
and sidewalks.
so there is a pedestrian question, you want to do on sidewalks, but, one of the big expenses we would have if the transportation plan as presented is exercises was a tunnel under the highway to connect north and south. If a majority of people say that's not important, then I'll be hard to
I'm
see.
sure. She'll say that.
And that, we have so many washers that we could use it during the flash flood, but
Right, well, one of them was at like North Creek, and we just do it
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah.
pavement.
that's gonna happen because of the, regional bike trail.
Oh, is it?
They're gonna cross over, so they're gonna have something there, and it's a multi-use path, because they wanted, riders to be able to access
Cool.
Polo.
Yeah.
That might be the natural fix for that.
And it may not be the 10%.
Stop talking to me.
Yeah, I mean, there are things that are in the works. Not a timeframe to them, I don't think yet, but, or maybe a loose timeframe. But, yeah, there's things that will happen, so part of what you're doing when you're addressing trails is, okay, there's already a regional effort to do trails. They're basically connecting all the communities in Washington County. Do we want to supplement that? Because they're going to just choose, the funding will come from probably the state, a lot of
They
it.
have a lot of different, they're collaborative.
And they'll say, this is where we're gonna go, but these are traffic engineers and they're gonna make it as efficient as possible, right?
They have not figured out how to get through Virgin and Rockville.
Yeah.
Virgin, parts of Virgin, like Desert Gardens. And they are still working on those. That's what I kind of like your questioning, Kevin, there's a county-wide initiative to develop all of these paths,
Where's that?
Highway 9, it's in SharePoint.
So it's one of the ones I.
So go to virgintown.sharepoint.com. See where that gets you. And,
It's the last question.
yeah, what do you think would help with the trail?
And that was just a start, if there's more specifics you wanted in that. But that's kind of, as an informational point and then a question.
And that's an open-ended question.
Right.
And then I added, what changes to the road network are currently needed, or we anticipate will be needed in the future. Feel free to exit these out. This is just brainstorming.
I like that.
And, how often do you bike or walk around the Virgin? And then I give them options a few times a week, once a week, every now and then or more. What would encourage you to bike and walk more? And then there's some options, better bike lanes, safer and more road crossings, more sidewalks, more connections between my residents and areas of interest, shops, grocery stores, parks, restaurants. I currently bike, walk as much as I want and well. And then what is the most pressing transportation need? Improve condition of the roadways, build or repair sidewalks, congestion, lack of mass transit options, bicycle access and safety. That one, I gleaned from another survey, so we probably tweet that if we're interested in that. And where would be the best location for a shuttle stop, which then I read our town newsletter, and it's looking like it's probably gonna be Bullitt Terrace. And if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong, it might be the hotel parking lot, sort of shuttle stop. Which would be a great spot.
Right. Oh, at the fair.
Don't quote me on that, that's just something, one of the meetings I just heard, so. But those are all in SharePoint, and we'll get you in there, and then you can decide which ones you like or don't like.
Okay.
I was just, we had said, let's just do ours and then generate ideas. Because I know I'm gonna need help with mine. Did you get it in?
No. I got it.
Virgintown.sharepoint.com. And if that doesn't work, up on Outlook and forward you the original email. Actually. You can get it in your Outlook, right?
No, because I don't know my email.
Emma Gray. You didn't say her?
I did. And this happened once before where it totally blocked me out.
Well, it does that, you have to update it. After so long a period of time, if you have not signed on to SharePoint, this I learned. And if there's a problem, just ask Crystal for the tech guy number,
Yeah,
and he'll help you.
he got me in last
Yeah,
time
yeah, yeah.
because it erased everything. So I'm very version. Version,
Great. So then, I make sure I sign
talks
this.
about this. I kinda have to-
But I can type those in for you.
What's that?
I'll type these in for you. And then, once you get in, you can decide which ones you really like. Do you have a suggested number for each of our categories that we should choose from?
I think we should ask.
It depends on how important the topic is to you.
Yeah.
So if it's something that you talk about a lot of as a family, and you would like a lot of input, then I don't know that there's a limit, but I would ask at least 2 or 3 or more questions, right?
I don't think we want to go way more than. I don't know, like 20 questions? No idea in this section.
No, I would, you know, in a section, you could go 5 or 10 or 5,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's what I would say.
You don't need, the more questions you ask, the more specific you're getting, and then you are complete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I have a question about how do you ask a question, a non-leading question about safety, like, do you know there's any dangerous places on our road, you know, is there any safety?
How
issues
safe do you feel in a virgin,
on the roadways?
on the roadways in Bergen?
yeah, you don't have to, you can ask a plain question. Are there places in Virgin that are not safe?
That's what I mean.
Something like that,
Yeah.
and then just let them spell it out, but don't give them a list of places.
That intersection's really.
I mean, you can do that in a conversation, people will talk to you, and you can glean stuff from that conversation, but
No, I was.
when you're just general.
Do you feel there is roads that are unsafe?
Yeah.
Or roadways, do you feel the roads are unsafe? Or are there any safety issues with the road?
They're gonna say, how safe are the Virgin's roads?
Are there any safety issues? Do you feel there are any safety issues with the roads in Virgin? And they can, there's something now. All right, good enough.
No, I mean, it depends on what you're trying to get at. So if there's been a repeated amount of input in the community meetings that this road is not safe, this road is not safe, you can ask questions specifically about those because you have that input. You've heard it all repeatedly, right? Not just from the person, but you've heard it a number of times. So then it's fine to ask a question specifically about it. In fact, with something like that, you might say, something like, what do you think makes that location unsafe? Or what, or,
I really like.
And then.
or what suggestions do you have to make that location more safe? So part of it is not just getting the input on, yeah, that's not a safe place, but it's also,
What makes it?
these are some ideas I have that would make it more safe.
What do you think would make it more safe? That's a good question. Yeah.
And those really aren't leading, that's just because it's already been identified as a issue. So if there are
You should
issues,
say, you know, what do you call it, the access to the highway crossing lot. Intersections, we make, well, they have the intersections, are they? There's there. What do you think was the highway, intersecting with the highway standard? Intersect with it. Does the highway,
left-hand turns are an issue, I'm sure,
It's
or
like,
straight across.
Well, you know what I think will come up are those center lanes that are meant for turning. Just in the last week, I saw like at least 5 people use that to pass.
Yeah,
Mhm.
And as Kent's wife experienced an almost fatal accident. And that was her. Except she was really.
And I almost got nailed in the, when I left your house. or something turning off Clockerville, and they hesitated.
Same thing.
Yeah, they hesitated, and so then I went, and then a car was barreling down, and that car pulled almost in front of that, it was bad. Super scary.
Yeah, it's an interesting, I just drove to full length before I came
I'm
here.
not talking about
And you have 65-mile-an-hour speed limits in your town.
Right?
That,
Yes, and that crazy, you know how often we talk to,
and,
Or that.
yeah.
And you know, there's a lot of people in our town who don't want us to slow it down. They are
there are people who
Do
don't
not
want
slow
to.
furious.
Well, it'll become a safety issue at some point.
Well, and an economic issue, if we do get it.
There are
In
lots
the
of
state landscapes, there's a lot of people, and most of them are local. They're commuting between jobs in and out of the canyon. They're local people who feel that they can make that pass because they know what's ahead of them. Most people traveling, tourists, they're more cautious, they're not gonna take chances, but it's local.
Mhm.
I've seen both.
And everyone's gonna keep it
Just not three out-of-state vehicles, they all had camping gear in the back, it's obviously they were running almost 60 on the 9 and over.
So I think we need an express, like, we're gonna do a look now, tell me, you gotta give us a loop somewhere.
You know what? They need to do the math and realize the difference between going 45 and 65 is maybe a minute by the time you get to 9. It's not gonna take you that much longer,
But yeah, that's
especially when you get to Rockville. And then 30.
yes,
Some communities you come to, will stop on highways.
That's true. So do you have anything you'd like to add to the economic question here that we've done now?
so I'm trying to figure out how to word things like, I wanna ask about balanced development, you know, like, there are, Kevin's questions really asked pretty well what I meant, like, what kind of businesses do you think we need? What do you think we're lacking, you know, blah, I don't know how much harder you can get that. The question, what do you think?
Some of them are gonna overlap, like land use.
Yeah.
And so some of them, my kids, I'm looking at some of the questions both in across the folders, and then in the last one, in vision, where we put all our general questions. And then there's overlap, you know, and so we can tag things as belonging to different.
Well, and I don't know where to put things like, an economic question, I don't know, where do the questions about your water bill, and how stressful that is on you? Where do you put that? Is that infrastructure? Is that
Yeah, community impacts.
community impacts?
Just however you would address, that's a town service, right? So,
You know, you feel that, like, you feel the economic environment is one that will, you know, keep your family here. In the place where you could stay a long time.
That questions in the vision, comes up multiple times in the vision section.
You're right, okay.
So I think we maybe can move some of those questions out of the
Well, and I don't know
vision.
what they're supposed.
Yeah. And, or we could just identify them
well,
by age.
if you're asking questions about actually developing the economy,
Mhm.
that's one thing, but if you're asking about
Impact.
quality of life,
Mhm.
then that's broader because that's impacted by highway speed, that's impacted by shopping opportunities, that's impacted by everything.
Right.
So trails, access to trails, all those things contribute to quality of life. So some of them are going to be, will cross, you know, and that's not a problem, because in the end, you're gonna look at the survey results and go, okay, based on what we've got in, but based on what we've had in all of our meetings, what do we want, what policies do we want to make? Goals and policies to help us move towards these things. So,
And my question is, when we get the answers from, let's say, the transportation and circulation section, how do we implement that into our general plan? People say, yes, they'd like that, and just draw one where we'd like to see it, and then.
no, because it's a general plan, so you would say, a policy would be like,
You said,
like well, you create a goal, where we wanna create bike paths throughout town. And then you have policies that as development comes in, seek, easements or access, the things that will help to build a bike path. So if it's along a generally accepted, well, it's generally this route. Or another policy would be develop a specific routes for, where we would like to see the multi-use path.
That grows out of the general plan.
Right.
The general plan would say this is a goal, so that when we do ordinances and things like that, they align with the general plan.
I know the Tooele city one I just read, they had, all the development said they had a interest. Half of the development had connected to
So it's
an
not.
existing system, so there was the development on either side, and they had. So they were.
Yeah, and those are and that's generally just like you said, so you're not riding on the shoulder of the highway.
Right.
You are separated from traffic, which is a comfort. If people feel more comfortable, they will ride or walk. Right. And part of the comfort is the noise. It's not just the presence of the vehicle. Because if you can't walk and have a conversation because you're so close to traffic,
Right.
For what section do you put things like landscape barriers and noise, sound wall?
That environment.
yeah, and you can address those, but the problem, I guess, is that a lot of that might already be addressed in your zoning ordinance. Or
We wish.
Or it can be addressed within the plan saying, we will work towards a section in our zoning ordinance to address landscaping.
Mitigate the sound of the highway.
Right. And
Mitigate the
so,
sound of business to residential.
right. So then if it's in your general plan and the funding opportunity becomes available, it's there. You can say, UDOT, we see this funding, we want to utilize it, and here's what our general plan has said, we'd like to do this.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Makes sense.
So the general plan is you're creating a vision for your community, you're including the things that you would like to see. And potentially you can't see everything. So that you make it broader so that you can include things that if something were to come up, I mean, every community has limited resources. If something comes up and there's a funding source or there's something else going on, then it's stated clearly in your plan. And the funding agency will go, are you just going after this because, the money's available? No,
No,
we
it's
would like
not.
to do this. We can plan.
And it's good thing this is recorded so we can go back and.
With housing development, land development, or what I learned, or I'm learning, it seems like it's really important to put in objectives, right? And goals, I don't know if parameters is the right word, but it encourage the kind of development, and if you make a your plan list, the kind of funding with the kind of things you want to see, that we can work best, so that when those kind of funding opportunities come up, that's, you'll get it, if they're not in the plan, and like protection, it's a protection too, because if we have in our, if we, for example, have in our general plan, some specifics, and you'll have to help us know how much, about how we want to address, say, workforce housing, or, I don't know the proper terms, but I'll whisper that. It's very
Affordable.
Or
Attainable.
attainable, that's
Attainable is the
the
newest
Moderate.
Moderate.
Focus.
Yes, okay, so those kind of things, and then, we need to go like that, make sure with the way the laws are going, that we have that.
And we could consider, because I know in Rio Design, there's supposed to be a meandering path, river,
Yeah,
and that model,
and it would be great if we
that
connected.
would provide open space and
Right.
with the small, even smaller.
But that's an HOA thing that we can't, like the town can't on our HOA.
No, but they can have, clustered housing and with. I don't know, there's ways, we just have to find out how we can do it.
Yeah, I'd love to see that completed. I know that one of our subcontractors in the city, taking a few minutes tonight.
There's supposed to be a walking bridge.
Right, and there was a one, which gets launched out
Yes, yes,
since the development started.
yeah.
But I think there's also been talk of that being
Road.
a road, but only for egress, like if there's an emergency, you take the pole out of the middle and
I've heard that line wide down.
it goes from
That.
a two-way bike path to a one-way.
So let's
Like,
just run
yeah,
roads,
that's
this is a
perfect.
really big issue, so
Yeah,
we're
similar. Not
there's
exactly.
some really, this town has a lot of issues with having safety access, because it seems like there's only one way out, and it's not good. I don't know how to address it, I don't know.
Well, I think the laws, I think plans like what he just said, when we have a desert garden where we have an emergency access. It was written into our development, again, I don't know if that was an HOA or what, where there's an emergency exit at the west end, and we all know that.
And it's great for the development, but as far as the town goes, I don't know that it actually makes it safer or facilitates the kind of development that right now is allowed there. We need to think carefully about access to places. First of all, those are the developments in areas, neighborhoods don't only have a single access. But what that means and what we need to require for more development to happen in the places, because we're gonna end up with some serious safety problems.
Yeah, not just one development, but there
Yeah.
are multiple developments on it to that.
Well, and most towns have, you know, like a developer gets 50 or 150 more houses, he's gotta pay for a road, it's gonna be, or a bridge, whatever, that kind of thing. So I don't know how we address that exactly in general plan, but can you say, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, within the general plan for that sort of thing, you can have policies that extensions of services, which includes
That's.
all the utilities and streets and those things that they're paid for by the developer.
That's
The community doesn't,
Larry, write that down. Isn't that in this presentation?
I think it's in the transportation plan where it shows what we expect when they do a tributary, a
So,
local road with all different definitions, and it's by adopting that plan, we have the ability, I'm assuming, to say, this is what's required in your neighborhood, and it shows.
right, but also the policy of that, just talking about making sure that the develop, I mean, right now, developers don't have to.
Because they're gonna be standards, so once that general plan or that transportation plan with the road standards is adopted, then we have standards.
Anyway, I wrote, yeah, I understand.
right, so yeah, so, and just let's back up for the general plan. The general plan is a policy document. It is not code, it is not law. So your effort as a planning commission is over the next few years to translate those policies into code, whether that be through the subdivision ordinance, the zoning ordinance, transportation plan, whatever it might be, there, it puts teeth to it. But you can, if the policies are in there, then you can require the developers, no, we need to have this and this work. We don't pioneer utilities and roads because you want to build, it's your responsibility.
So we're writing a guidebook for the ordinances to come.
So. And environmental survey questions, do you have any you would like to have? Or give to me, who would like to add?
No, I mean, I did write a couple questions that I'm not sure who got it, but,
I saw your email, want me to translate those into?
yeah, but I was very vague and simple. I didn't put in the things that we've been talking about, just the subjects that I was concerned about, so it would be lighting and transportation. I also think the city, needs to in the future look at, living environmental, landscaping and things like that as to what kinds of trees we want and don't want. What kind are required by developers, with regards to, barriers, size of trees. I know that there were really strong, requirements for Zion River, when they were done, and I'm not sure those requirements are really still there or enforced. I think that was pretty much done by whatever the committee it was that was working with the people that built Sign River.
There were ordinances at that time, you can try to find them back.
Yeah.
So the general plan needs to like specify that we wanna have those kind of, parameters for what you're saying.
Yeah,
What they
so
would be, just that we can track that.
I think developers want and could develop, you know, like this basic feeling of mine. And I think most of them know that that's important to their success. Because competition, they know is key. And so I think I want to say in my mind that they have their interests or our interests and that they can be put together if we can talk with them about it. Either in a general plan, that says, you know, what our goals are with regards to, I mean, we have this little strip of block over here of Monco pines that are beautiful but struggling because they have an environmental problem that they have to deal with, which is high velocity, electrical lines that go through them that have to be cleared. And so I love the idea of trees that whoever had that idea, that put them there. I think it was a mayor once that wanted those trees. I think we lack that along, sections of SR9. And that we can put that into ordinance where developers are required, you know, not to put a 2-inch sapling, but to put a 3 to 6 inch tree that's going to really be different in a few years instead of in 10 or 20.
So would parks also go under requirement? Did we ever decide that? Where would you put parks?
I would put that under community facilities. And that's under the control of the.
So is community services or facilities?
Both facilities and services.
And I would like to make sure when we do the environment that we are seeing the fact, we have some very poor soil for building in certain areas, and we also have some serious flooding. And that we need to keep those in mind as we make ordinance.
Yeah, I really agree with that as an important thing down there, and that's a challenging thing on the road. It's unique how challenging it is for our community. All the communities in the canyon have flooding issues, but I'm not sure that, potentially we don't have, you know, more, not necessarily severe.
We can learn not only from the communities, but from the park. And some of the things, measures they've taken, have to control the river have actually backfired. And that's one reason we have bridges undermined and trails closed and that huge flash flood.
Yeah, the key to this desert environment is that you find a way to enable you to hold back those flushes of the toilet if you publish and control the release. And it's not really different than along the Wasatch Front. And almost every canyon has 1 or 2 control basins. Some are parks, some are just big basins that don't ever see water for 10 or 20 years, and then all of a sudden they're full. And there's homes that have been developed down below those catch basins. And now they have ways of releasing that water slowly that was filled instantly. So that's the concept. It's very expensive. And to work with the soils that we have here is really difficult, much more difficult than the Wasatch Front.
Yeah, Las Vegas, that's an issue there. There's a bigger flood control network in Las Vegas than there is in Washington.
Yeah.
Because of, you get, the desert gets, you know, can get.
Well, they have so many solid surfaces.
Right, well, and I'm talking about outside of Las Vegas, so, and desert soils are very erodible. So it's a big challenge
Mhm.
to address.
Phoenix too.
I know the mayor has been trying to address some of the issues that are current, with regards to making sure our washes and our culverts are clear. I walked through the main culvert over in Sierra Valley the other day, Kenny Cornelius has been clearing it. I was blown away by how much fill was in that culvert. That's an 8-foot culvert, 8 foot high, and maybe 15 to 20 feet wide. He had to take a skid loader in there, where you can see the dirt line, and it's halfway up that 8-foot high culvert. The big flood a few years ago, that brought everything down. So, I know she's working on trying to keep those clear, but that's not solving the problem. But we can see catch basins, the pioneers built them here, and they used them to catch and bring the water down more slowly. And we just ignored it, I think, in the last, half century.
I just think that's something that I have heard a lot of people mention to me as a concern. Whether it's culvert or redirecting water for some large projects, so that if there's a flash flood, we will just move downstream and flood somebody else.
Well, a big issue here, and that's something that you can easily include, is that if you have subdivisions going in, then they need to be able to have, and they're putting in impervious surfaces, they need to have catchment basins that control that. They're gonna have to give up some of the land to, do a catchment basin so that it can slowly move it out of that subdivision. That it doesn't create a problem downstream. And you'll see that if you drive through Cedar or any place, as you're driving up there, new subdivision just on the west of the freeway. The last lot is a huge catch base. So it's, that's just something that needs to be, it's been ignored, like you said.
Yeah, I don't know if we have anything that deals with that, you know, I know that,
You mean in our code or law?
well, yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen anything talk
It's
about.
been talked about, but that's, and it's mentioned, I believe, but I've never been aware of an ordinance that was.
You can take also the other, besides the main wash on the north side, there's a main wash on the south side, and that's Cornelius Wash. And that's now got a development on top.
Well,
And,
Right.
Yes.
there's Dalton Wash, I mean, that road is called Dalton Wash Road for a reason.
and there's places in there that are just on alluvial soil that that are being built right now, and so there dramatically needs to be a catch basin above that to be able to slowly release that major flooding.
It's the mayor's house right now.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I think it may be once in 100 years, but that once in 100 years can be devastating.
Yeah, you took it down, when we had our property flooded for the first year, during the first year, this was just a little wash. And it washed out the driveway and across the road,
Well,
affected 3 different lot properties.
and I saw a whole crowd next to me be washed away.
And down, I'll tell you, you ain't seen nothing.
Oh, yeah, I believe him.
Holland County maps, clear back, show your neighborhood, big red X's over it, and geohazard zone. I've never developed here.
So, are you aware if there's FEMA maps for you?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
And is there, so there are parts of your community that require flood insurance?
Yes.
And there's also, when we did the wastewater study, there was large areas. Kind of. Cerebella, where you are, you know, that are like not good for building.
Well, there's many,
Is flooding and catchment basin something we do need to include in the general plan, or is it, I think, just ordinances?
No, you need to address
Is there
issues
any
that are
funding for
an issue that you can So I would definitely include some goals and
I think,
policies for the.
I think if we agree that it's important that we be the ones to not ignore it.
Yeah.
Because we're now changing so dramatically.
Mhm.
It's not just a quiet little town, worries about anymore.
Right.
We now have Rio de Sion and whatever else there is over on that side. They never had to worry about it flooded, but they never had to worry about it. It was just somebody's field or nothing.
Mhm. There was that open line.
And so now it's homes, and I think that we do need to do it, to start talking about it, making plans, put it in the general plan. It's extremely expensive to do that kind of infrastructure, to create those kinds of protections, but I think they're critical, and we're getting into where we have to pressure to.
Oh, my God.
We're gonna be-
So
We're gonna
it
be
is,
court.
it is 20 after we still have to.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, but you want to look at some more of those and need help. I think.
Okay.
I'm walking through it. Val is not here, but she has questions and others everywhere from how long have you lived in Berlin, she had housing.
Okay.
Do you own or rent? I was just talking to someone about an address here. Are you a full-time resident or a part-time resident?
Yeah, that can be part of your background.
Why did you choose to live here? How long do you plan to stay? How would you rate the availability of housing? The affordability of housing? What types of housing do you want to see? Single family to apartments, condominium? Balancing the need for affordable housing with the nature of existing neighborhoods. How do you think the community should address the needs of low-income households, seniors, and people with disabilities? Right now, the rural residential zone allows one house per acres is still a good idea. Do we need more density? Where? What are we missing? What ideas do we have to improve our goals? I think those two questions. And then you had another way of saying the residential, rural residential lot standards for most of the community are 1 acre. So the older areas of town allow for smaller lots, but the densities for lots outside of the original area.
Check out all these questions, there's someone there for us to look at.
Yeah, and SharePoint.
All right.
I'm gonna give you SharePoint.
Yes, you are.
I would love to do that. So, and, I added how important from extremely to not at all, new housing should meet design guidelines by Virgin. You know, that's a tricky one. I want to say Virgin to a true retirement, people should be able to rent housing in Virgin. I want my children to be able to stay and live in Virgin, that used to be a huge thing. Right? I want, there we go. When you think of the future of Virgin, which example of housing fits best? Attached row homes or townhomes, detached homes, cluster cottage style homes, surrounded with green space. If density is increased, should be offset by open space in another adjacent area, I guess, in the comments. Do you favor or oppose mixed use development with both residential and commercial uses in the same approach? There's that, continue on. Virgin needs more, and then it was different kinds of housing, so this is similar to that. Everything from luxury housing, smaller dwelling units, townhomes, duplexes, single family homes, large rural lots, all of the above.
I think single family homes is not the right, we need to break that category out. Like entry level housing, you know what I mean? Like single family homes,
Well, according to the state, entry level homes are now basically townhomes.
well, no, that's not true.
That's in America.
That's not true, there are some moving away from that.
We're not, two conferences I just went to.
So let me ask you a question. So if you, would the town like to control the type of housing that is here? And if that's the case, then address those things specifically.
Okay.
Or if your goal is to encourage a variety of housing types, then ask the question more like, what type of housing would you like to see? Or how would you help to create a variety of housing types? with those examples that she just read.
And how would you state the first option if you want to?
Well, I'll just tell you, every community wants to control their houses. I don't know that you can to ask the question to the community about that, but you could say, would you like things to stay the way they are? That's the way,
Okay,
that's,
Isn't that almost 100% yes? And then
yes.
every survey I've read, it's,
Starter homes is
yeah,
there.
if we could keep it the way it is, would be, all be.
But if you really want to address starter homes, which is kind of a, I don't know how you define that exactly, but if you want to create homes where there's opportunities for people that are not now part of your community, how do you do that? How do you ask that, you know?
And
that's-
workforce housing, and the other thing is, we wanna be careful, well, I'm having never mind, I'm gonna scratch that.
Can I
Yeah.
address that thought, thinking? As to what we want to be, do we want it to be a retirement home to our community? Do we want it to be a gateway community? Do we want it to be diverse? Do we want to encourage all ages and incomes? Do we want it to be exclusive?
We wanna encourage ownership on every level of housing, we wanna, and we wanna,
And we were all at the APA meeting when the state, had that talk about this is what's needed. I think it was something like 30,000.
37.
It's 30 to 53,000.
Was
It's
that-
like 37 to 53,000.
so we want,
Like here,
Oh,
that's the shortage. And how are we gonna get there? What was the number one way to get there? So first step,
smaller houses.
smaller houses on smaller properties.
and I think talking about permanent,
We have to decide if we want to encourage that and to what extent. And we have to look at probably that it's down the road until we get sewer.
yeah, and septic, I don't think we have the option of encouraging.
but
small lots.
encouraging permanent residency, having that as a component of something that our focus is on, then that guides the types, the ways that we address the needs.
So, but there is a significant portion of our little town who, do not have the financial means for that. They're the lifeblood of a lot of businesses.
Right,
I'm talking about guides.
right, and so, and one way to address that, rather than on this different routes, right? Like you can go to the apartment room, or you can go workforce housing, what do you call them?
Live work unit,
Live work units, things like that in commercial settings, rather than having our neighborhoods try to be more purged. Instead of thought, it's not. More permanent, and the reason why is because especially in a town where, well, only people that invest, people that aren't. Cost a lot less. So,
My question, Kevin, when we're discussing this is, are we daydreaming, well, in a way we're daydreaming, but are we being realistic? Some people would say, I think, for example, my wife would say, you're not going to be able to find affordable housing here. It's too expensive no matter what you do, and developers aren't going to be willing to come in and make less money on this piece of property. Because, you want to have affordable housing.
so,
And is that true? Are we in a period of time, maybe, that will maybe change?
here, okay, I know I don't want the answer, please, I'm so excited about this. So one of the things the state is doing right now, the reason I'm like harping on getting in our plan, is they are creating several new funding options that are encouraging small homes and home ownership and making entry level housing available, and also they subsidize it, right?
But not in our classic city.
Not true. I don't think that's
I
true.
don't think it is, we'll have to investigate.
Who's developing this?
Where you were in that last class with me, right? I don't think that's it. If there's something, we'll talk about that. No, I think
I went to another class.
well, so we'll talk about that, but there are a lot of options. But what we want to do is make sure that we have in our plan that those are our goals, because that we have to have it in there to get to access that funding, to have a better shot.
So let me just say that the housing is a moving target. Every
Yes.
year, the legislature tries to do things. One of the things, one of the incentives that they're working on, and I kind of started ignoring that after a while, because I was busy with other things, but, was providing funding to developers for infrastructure. Providing funding mechanisms. One of those that I think did pass was that a developer can now, do an SID basically on their property and pass that along to the home buyers.
An SID,
Special improvement district, so that provides the funding for water, sewer, all those things, all the infrastructure they need to put in. That can help motivate the developer to come in and develop those types of things, but it's tied to lot size, it's tied to those. So they're working in that direction. I don't know, but it's kind of, at this point, it's a wait and see. Will developers respond? You can offer carrots, but are they gonna really respond?
So is SID just a bond that pays for the improvements and then it's added to their property taxes when they buy? Or is this a subsidized program from the state?
Well, part of it would be, through grants, that would help reduce the cost, but part of it would be funded through the SID where, it would be added to your house payment or to whatever. You would have this amount you would have to pay off on that property over a certain period of time. So normally an SID is a 10 to 15-year period. Like if you wanted to do sidewalks in the whole community, you could create an SID that you would charge everyone a certain amount of dollars for every linear foot of sidewalk, and you develop sidewalk. To get that passed would not be possible, but I'm just saying that's one thing that you could do.
And I know that I've worked in neighborhoods that had that where they actually had a different tax base than the guy that lived across the street on their property tax. So the sales prices look very low and look very intriguing, but their property tax, I mean, you're still paying for it as a buyer, unless it's subsidized by somebody, the buyer's still paying for it.
So for our June 20th meeting, I'm sad two of us can't get into our SharePoint. I found sort of Ivan's report, in 2022 and their survey, and I thought some of their banner topics and other questions yet, because we just want to just get ideas from the community. Would be great, like what types of development should Virgin encourage? And have that as a header on a piece of post. And then there's all kinds of this. We could pick out 10 to 15 of these for our open house. And that document is under other resources. And seriously, if anybody gets locked out in the tech guy can get you back in. Crystal, give me, the tech guy, he's lovely and very responsive.
I answered the phone.
Oh, yeah. He had to call me back, and he apologized profusely. So I would highly encourage, if you're having trouble with SharePoint, that you contact him, because he really helped me out. And then this particular document, I can email everybody. Town email, okay, do you have this, your town email?
do I have access to that?
Your town email,
Yes,
and you do.
How long are we spending building?
I think so. Without talking.
You have an IT department too?
I bet if we can get into SharePoint and we can come up with questions, then by our next meeting, we should be whittling down to the ones we want.
Okay.
So that brings up a question. So you have the open house for June 20th, right? That's in,
And
Do surveys go out first or
see, that's what I think we need.
no?
Not under her name, it's not possible to go out.
well, you need to ask questions at your open house. You're not just saying,
That's what I'm
you
saying.
know.
So I think we need to have the questions finished. Can we finish them before then?
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Perfect, seeing you.
Because I think we should, or we should move that. I think it's silly not to have.
Well, it's been published, the town news,
Well, then we better, maybe we should just.
so, well,
They're going, who's gonna do it? Okay, yeah.
you don't think if we had broad questions
You could, but I don't know how many, you know, my
That's what we did
assumption
last-
was that we were working towards questions that you're gonna be asking through the survey. Which would start with the open house. So, and maybe I misunderstood.
No, that's what we talked about.
So, there's a lot of work to do to get,
I probably couldn't do that by June 20th, because I have some serious commitments that I can't get around and require travel next week. And next week is the 12th, and then that's.
So what are the steps, and I'm not telling you to do it, I'm just asking if I have an idea of a time, what do you feel like? So what needs to be done for the questions to be ready, like, tell me what? I mean,
There's Val here as well, because we were kind of charged, so. I wish you all could see if I could, this special email.
was it from their last update
Yeah.
of their general plan?
I'm just wondering, the two of you, I don't know, what do you, so do you need like perfect questions? What do you need from?
You don't need perfect questions, you're just trying to not have them be leading.
So is that something where, if they got an idea of the questions, like, this is pretty much what we want, and came to you, can you say?
Yes, I can do that, I can, if you send me, if you winnow it down to what you want, or generally what you want.
That's not gonna be the survey we send out every month, correct?
Do we want more human survey? If so, how are we going to want that?
My envision the open house,
Okay.
the stress out open, having some topics that we get their feedback about what's important, broader topics. We can then all look at the questions they have, and that will tell us which ones are important to the town. Maybe find one you missed, and then we make our final questions for the survey. Jean Krause is looking at a digital format that's secure.
Well, he's got,
But I need to give it to Roger, who,
Clark,
I don't know how long that will take for them to get it on. So I need to have something that you want to ask that can be given to Roger Carter.
to do what with,
To be on Qualtrics, which they can.
okay, so you're envisioning this open house as like a preliminary, like, just like a, sort of like an interest gatherer, like, and get a little bit of feedback from people interested in the general plan, and give you direction to finish the survey.
yeah, because I don't know that we have enough information.
Yes.
Kevin
When do,
is here to kind of guide us through this, he's done it so many times.
so, but I think we need a deadline for an actual survey to be finished.
I agree.
What, are you just looking for the questions on each subject, and then do you develop, what do you develop for the people who come to the open house? Places for them to write, or are we sending out a flyer for them to fill out?
Most
a questionnaire?
Most communities will do their survey at the open house.
Yeah.
Because it's a big undertaking.
And do you create the survey,
Um,
or do we create the survey?
He digitized.
for most communities, I have just provided them the document, they provided about input on how they wanted it, so however you want.
So we need to get
It's up to
everything
you.
together, and hand it to him. We need to have it done, and hand it to him, that he's gonna have it.
And then, because you have an ongoing dialogue because you meet regularly and people are invited to be here at your local meetings. And you can say, if you're interested, please be at the local meeting. It's not a community forum, but they can be here and listen. And if you're comfortable, you can ask them to, it's not, they're not providing public testimony, it's one person and their opinion, but they're providing some input on what's going on. So that's the way it's been done, just for time's sake in most communities.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, is because the way it seems like we might, we've got like 5 months of surveying here, it kind of seems like, and I think I don't know if we want, do you want to do that?
You need to have your surveying done at least probably 6 months before
this
You
plan.
hope to finalize your
Okay.
thoughts.
So what do you think, Darlene? I know we have Donna Bell to talk to about this.
Oh, we just don't have her input.
No.
I don't know if I have the time or bandwidth, if I can,
Okay.
but I don't know that we have to have it over time.
If you,
I think we can.
I'll offer this, if you would like to send that document to me, I'd be happy to, you know, do whatever, send it back out to you and say, is this what you want? And so that, and, you know, it will be numbered. You can say, we don't want this, we don't want that. Yes, we do want number 10, no, we don't want. So you can go through it in a round fashion, but it would require that you do it via email or phone calls because
Right.
the 20th is pretty soon.
And at the open houses, I've been to a couple on several topics like the transportation open houses, but they had a board with
They weren't specific.
a topic, and then usually somebody's standing next to that board, so as you're walking around the room, one would be housing, and you could answer or ask questions
Yeah.
specifically about housing to that person standing next to the board, and then if it was transportation, you can ask that person, and there might be a couple of questions on there, or map, or
Yeah,
is that typically what
yeah, I
a
mean,
plan meeting would look like?
so if you wanted to all focus on your topic, you could have some materials there, you can just have a conversation. Where there's some displays, I brought a few things in it, and I know we've gone over time,
That's different than a survey.
but, well, yeah, it is different, but it includes the survey. So just to give you an example of some of the things that are available. And I haven't developed the transportation, but I can develop whatever is available as far as rights of way and that sort of thing, if I can find information. And this is just information. So this is just something that would be up, so the light blue is state trust lands, the yellow is BLM lands, the rest is private lands, and it's shown within the boundaries. So one of the topics, I don't know if you heard, APA,
Yeah.
State trust lands
Yeah.
are used to develop revenue for school children and institutions. Part of what's going on in Ivans is they're utilizing some trust land to do workforce housing. So they have some trust lands within or adjacent to their community. And they are working with SITLA, which is State Institutional Trust Lands, to develop part of that so that people can lease the property, build a home, the people that own the home, they would lease the property from, I don't know if it's through SITLA or through the city, but they would lease the property on long term. And so they're paying for, and they own the home and the infrastructure, but they are very minimal cost for the land, which right now is a big part of development.
I thought they had to, Beacon City of Towns was a big thing about the lawsuit, and now they had to charge fair market price for certain land instead.
Oh, that's a separate thing, because, yeah, I mean, there's civil land that's being sold. But the state and SITLA, I mean, you don't have any within your town boundaries, but you have some adjacent. Probably not good places to develop on the south side of the river, but there's some adjacent on the north. But, I mean, that's a whole new topic, it's just. You also don't want to create a part of your community that is isolated in the distance from the rest of you. So. Right, but especially an economically challenged component of your community. So, if it's someplace like this SITLA land, just for example, is you got the road going up the mountain. So there's ready access. So it's still, there's like half a mile
BLM line.
in between, right?
Have you heard of the BLM and SIPA maybe trading?
That does happen on occasion.
So that, BLM would go up and take some of the blue, and something would come down next to the,
That happens
and
on occasion.
be pulled into our city limits.
Garfield County experienced that in. Yeah,
They will switch land.
they will.
It's all BLM. But
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
The civil land is not given.
No.
No, it's state land, it's deeded to the state at creation of
Land
state.
ordinance 17.
So,
Pretty good.
anyway, so there's lots of displays. There's lots of, you can put up informational things like this that people can read, that they, and then respond to. You can ask questions. These are all very generic. And I'd be happy to send these around to you. I think I left some previously. There's some other ones there's an active transportation one, which is trails and pathways. So there's a number of these that are informational, but people can respond and provide input. Yeah, yes.
And you don't think that input should impact what the questionnaire is.
It certainly, you're hoping to get a lot of input. You're gonna lose steam over it. So the longer you go, the less people will be involved.
Well, the last time we did this, we had like 4 or 5. We were all well attended.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not telling you what to do. This has been my experience, so.
I can see what he's saying, and I wasn't here when those were done.
Well, I think.
But I can see losing interest coming to one open house, seeing the placards, talking to people, giving my comments about what's important to me and what's not. And then being able to maintain that interest and to come to other meetings. But I'm gonna have a hard time.
Well, but the survey, we have discussed being mailed out. And then perhaps a digital version.
I think the mail out survey would be, in my opinion, a must.
So Darlene, are you thinking?
And that's not gonna happen between.
Right, so do you feel like you have another, to say, do 3 questions or 2 questions that you can ask at the open house with visual on the most important topics, or something like?
Well, that, yes, for a final survey.
Yeah, so what I'm asking is, can you make this a preliminary open house that you feel like is useful? With just gather information, and then if we have a goal, so we can keep it on our schedule. But then we have a goal to have the survey finished and all the information together by a certain time. And we're all, that we have to help you.
I would appreciate if everyone also looked at what I just emailed it.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be a second because we're already in our meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, and he needs to go now, so what do you think? What's a reasonable, I mean, based on how long this usually takes, when do we need to have this done? We need to have it done today, probably, but.
Well, questions to ask at the open house.
So I think we're just gonna let, we're gonna have some preliminary questions, and it sounds like we're really.
Yeah, that's,
I'm so sorry. Val and Janine can handle that, but, and then, so, right?
preliminary questions, if
That's
that,
what I already asked.
so. Am I,
So I would say you would need to do, right?
right, so then
I don't
all I would need is, if you have ideas of what you want to use for displays at the open house, please let me know and I'll get some stuff out.
When would you like things supposed to be?
Let me look at the calendar.
Yeah,
So I'm drawing a blank on what I would do on transportation.
And you can just say, a map is always a good talking point.
So just put up a map of the city and have people tell me what they figure or think is the unsafe areas and where they'd like to see connectors and.
so we have the stuff that we just adopted.
Do you have a transportation plan that is?
Yes.
So-
Yeah.
Yeah, and we can create, my limitation is I can do 11 by 17. If you have a way to print larger,
We have permission to use.
Yeah, another 24 by 30.
so I can create them as,
PDFs.
PDFs and that would be ready for,
There's something in here.
what is it? What size, 20 by 24?
20, I can't remember, it's 22 by 34 or 24 by 36.
Can run those.
No, we don't need the super, I don't think we need a bigger than that. If there are questions, because they'll
No,
go.
we're talking
No,
about
we're talking about maps.
maps, we're talking
Oh,
about visuals, we're thinking of visual, like a poster say something for each. for
11 by
each
17,
section.
what's the next
And then
ratio?
Last night I went to the Dixie Center, to the open house by the BLM and Department of Interior on Red Cliff Reserve. And alternate routes that they're considering going through the Red Cliff Reserve. And there were probably a dozen different poster stands with the big posters. Pictures, some had pictures, some had different things, the map, all of them had a map, it seemed like. Because everybody wanted to look at, okay, where are the alternative routes? Or the suggested possible routes. And so maps are, to complement this, maps are really, really critical.
So,
And I don't know how you do a map when you're talking about maybe environment, but maybe you talk about, maybe you got pictures more than maps. And you talk about dark sky,
Well,
and you talk about,
that map from the wastewater study that we have in SharePoint, the wastewater study.
okay, so hang on. Okay, so this is what we need to do, we're gonna have something on the 20th, we need to have, how many is there, 5 of us? We're gonna have 5 stations, yeah, 5 stations. You can pick 1 or 2 posts, like you want a dark sky map and a geographical map for your environmental, like we need 5 categories. General categories being 2 or 3 questions only for each category, and then we pick the visuals and we send
okay,
them.
so tell me, am I at one category or two,
So
what?
we're gonna let him, we're gonna turn him loose, he doesn't have to stay here all night.
Well,
When he's ready.
yeah,
And I'm fine, I'll stay.
So we need 5, so let's do 5. Darlene, what do you think for 5? We each have a booth, each have a station, what will it be?
Then you have every top
We
topics
have our
already.
topics, mine is land
Okay,
use,
so
so I
we'll do
do
our
have a
topics.
land use map,
Okay,
Right.
as bad as it is.
no, yeah.
That's my thing.
Okay, great. So you'll send him the land, he'll make you a big land use map.
I already have, I mean.
If you have something you wanna use, that's fine. If you'd like me to make something, just let me know, because I could do something like, only develop plan, or it could be plan land use type of map, which would cover the whole community. I could do,
We have the land use, the zones, all the zones,
go, that's zoning. So, and I've got those actually, I've got,
and that's basically land use, isn't it?
I like.
well, yeah, but there's some that, I mean, if you look at what you currently have, you have a lot of acres of commercial, they have a map here, I'll show you. And of resort, but only part of reuse, part of the. So you have a map, like where you can see those little stars, you can see that's where you actually have development,
Well, that's cool.
but you have a lot of other
Okay,
stuff
that'd
that's
be
big.
great.
So if you want something that only highlights what's developed,
That'd be great.
and then also the zoning map. So you have something to say, okay, here's
That's
the
our
zoning map.
zoning map.
What's that?
Isn't that our zoning map?
It is, it's, well, it's,
I like the
So
land,
did you put this?
the land,
yeah,
the civil land here.
City has you started it yourself?
yeah.
I like the civil one too. So, all right, so let's get to Kevin what we want our visual to be. And I think we just do, don't we think we only just like 3 question, idea generator question? So we know.
So-
And the reason why is because, like, go ahead.
I was thinking the big posters that stick on the walls. With our headers. And then if we had a question on a poster. And people would smooth their ways. I also,
Are you thinking that those would be blank, people could write on?
correct,
Okay.
I was also thinking that for longer comments, each of those should have a number. And with these, I don't know, quarter sheet of paper with the same number on it to allow for comments, that could then be dropped. into a
Or we can
comment.
have a little box in each section.
Or just one spot, doesn't matter.
What's about, because they had numbers, easy to categorize.
my box. All you need is one box. but-
Yeah.
So, all right,
Because then we have comments on different numbers and then they just start at once.
okay, so are we, so that, do we have a plan for the,
So with the other meetings I have coming up, I need stuff from you by the 10th or 11th. So
I'll print my own.
that's fine.
And like I
I
said,
have no,
is there
I have
Tuesday,
no
the
concern.
11th?
I won't be around at that time.
So,
If there's maps you'd like me to work on, those.
I'll shoot, we'll.
So anyone that has
Sure.
marked.
Stay for the
And then I'll create my
Okay,
legal size paper would be fine.
and are you going to be finding, as a community, you're finding the big post-its that you
Yeah.
put on the wall?
I got permission for the,
Okay,
Okay, awesome.
great. Okay, now, when would you like us to have this survey done, just to keep us rolling?
Well, when do you want it to go public? That's the
Or do you
question.
want to go?
it's not just my decision.
I know, well, Nell's not here.
But I don't think we're there yet to have it done by the 20th.
No, we're talking like, is it gonna be August 30th? Is it, does it wanna go out in the August letter, does it wanna go out in the September letter, does it wanna go out in July?
I think it's August.
So by the middle of July, is that
Yeah,
reasonable?
the only concern about August is vacations.
Right,
I remember we talked about that, we talked about doing it when school started at the end of August.
So when do we put it go?
that's fine.
Okay, okay.
That gave us enough, I mean, I think I remember talking about the.
We did
If
concern
it can
of
go, yeah, it can go out whenever you want.
whenever school
But,
starts.
and you need to have just a period of time. It's available from this date to this date, and then after that date, you just gotta say, hey.
I just think.
Appreciate your input, but we
Two
have to move on.
week window, that's.
Well, however long you want.
Okay.
Yeah,
What
So
are most
we can
places
put it
do?
out.
most places actually just do survey of open house, so,
This,
We're not gonna get good participation.
Right. so the, Caraguna, they were handing them out for about a month. And got them back within about a month.
Will we mail-
during the period, let's say we're gonna have our open period for the survey on September 1st and September 15th. So you could do another open house during that time, right? If you wanted, doesn't want to.
Do they ever do open houses after the results of the survey?
Usually at that point, they will do it combined with what you've done with the results.
Okay. like-
So, if we wanna have it out in, we wanna send it out in our, would it be September newsletter?
September.
Or do you want to August, September?
School starts in August. A lot of people are gone in August.
Okay, so when do you need all the questions by, and we're going to have to try to send it out in September, to get it by August.
Like, no, not that, not that far. I'd like to know about this, whatever date that
August 15th.
15 all questions to, or before, let's shoot for the start of August.
is. Okay, that sounds fine.
For when?
The start of August to get our clarifying.
Your
questions.
questions done
The first or the fifth or
First.
August 1st.
So
Are you
what, format do you want them in?
and, Word or Google Docs or whatever you want to send it to.
And do you want the continuums if we have it, or the various?
You can have that in there, it's kind of, you'll probably lose formatting, but if you have the words, like if you're saying,
And you can make-
1 to 10, then have
Then
those
you-
things. But if you want to have the 5 choices or whatever it is, just include those.
Okay. So do I have this right? So we're gonna get all our requests for, our posters, our visuals, maps, et cetera, together by the 10th. Right?
This one,
Yep, and then we'll work on the survey questions and we'll have them all ready by August 1st. And to Darlene, so she can submit them, or not, Darlene, Val, I don't know.
Okay,
All right.
Did you say visual,
Sorry.
did you say visual needs by the 10th?
By
yes,
the 10th, visual needs to him, by the 10th. We're gonna take, because then we have one flash day, won't kill us.
with the other meetings I have. I just
Thank
need
you.
that much time.
Okay.
Okay,
Are we good for there?
we're good.
Okay. I don't see, so, thank you so much. Thank you, Jim. We'll try to keep you there.
Thank you. Welcome. Well, we'll keep it moving.
Very well.
I think we have a good discussion.
Yeah, I think we got, did you fill out we pushed the cart forward, it started rolling. I know.
And then once the fun work actually starts, when we actually get into the plan and look at, you know, the example that Darlene brought in the older plan, what do we want? Because
Yeah.
right now, the plan is kind of lists things.
Yes.
The other thing I really liked about what Ivan's did is just we have an explanation of their process, as part of that document. To me, that helped, so, not that we would do that exact same process, but it gives us some context for, which we can add to your expertise in the context you bring.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
So much.
Have a good meeting.
Thank you. Are those the copies that you have that we can have, It's like
Yeah.
these are all, I love that. Sit Levy on that map. Just pull these out.
Me too, that's one of.
There's actually a ton of them here, so let me just go on that side. Yeah, well, I'll just read all this stuff. So there are examples here. And I just have one thing of each set. Think these, I have two. So like the maps, I just have one.
Okay, thank you.
Go through them.
I can make that.
Do what you like. If you don't like it formatted.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
All right, so for our meeting, we're not gonna do that, we're gonna finish the vision statement and we'll finish that discussion, because I think you guys spent some time on this, you gotta get going.
Well, okay,
Would you like to finish that with that?
so general plan,
Mm-hmm.
we ended land use pretty brief. A lot of mine is covered, is redundant with some of what you guys do, so it will inform what you do on land use. Whether it's environment, whether it's economic, overall impact land use. In my opinion,
But you certainly know the house.
public facilities.
So yeah, so I learned, I know I got.
We have questions in other group. If you look through all those folders as well, and then, vision. We have a third vision statement, and a good kind of question might be to what extent it's still true. And there's a bunch of questions in that.
So,
Like things like the top three things you'd like to see more of in the version.
okay,
Includes everything for bike and pedestrian paths. This is sort of about outdoor recreation, town beautification, river access. What are we missing? What ideas? do we-
so I think that the question, oh, man, I think that that's what we should, it just occurred to me, what do you think about the vision statement questions on each topic, that's what we need for this open house, because that will give us the general, what's important.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, so these are vision statement questions, what do you see, what, in your category, what do you got in general? So
And look at what's under vision.
yeah, look at a vision,
Because there's a bunch of stuff there, and they combine a lot of stuff.
yeah, that will avoid it getting too specific and getting people frustrated in any way.
Some of them are from Kevin,
Okay,
about how do you feel that how do you feel that tourism impacts the community? What features or events in the community contribute to your quality of life? How would you rate your quality of life?
and I think I think like three questions, like teasers, like questions that really get thinking and think, you know, the vision statement is what we need to do. I don't think we should draw them down too much specific right now, because I think,
Well, look at the vision
Yeah,
statement stuff.
I think,
It's right in your folder.
vision statement type
Sure.
questions.
And then I think it's, we can see better.
No, this is our folder, remember I created folders for everyone? It's under,
I feel like we need a lesson.
I would be happy to do that, I really.
Come over to our house
But you can,
Give us
you
a
can
lesson.
possibly show you right now.
No, I mean, you can't even log in, you can't, I mean,
Yeah.
like, if there's anything that goes on, there's never a notification, does it know if any changes ever happen, or something shows up in a folder, there's.
I would highly encourage everyone to avoid that, because that happened to me, to don't let more than 3 days go by before.
Yeah, I think
Checking in the SharePoint.
Well,
things
that's
change all the
possible
time.
for us, so I'm not home a
Um,
lot. I mean, 3 days gone, there's no deal. I'm lucky if I can get on there for the 6 hours before the meeting.
Yeah, yeah,
Not-
so, but
Not
when,
3 days.
if there, well, someone can show you.
Yeah.
So, oh, and I will, I'll come, if Darlene wants to, you can do so.
I can do it. I mean, it's more than happy to.
Okay. All right. Well, go ahead and finish what you're.
Well, it doesn't work, it won't mean anything unless you're in it, so first you gotta get your password.
Right. So I'll go back and,
You can see yours though, for sure.
But it's still, don't forget it.
Yeah.
Cause I would forget it. So what I did is, when you go into SharePoint, the very beginning. So what I've done, okay, is, once I got in SharePoint. Just a doc. I pasted the link, I put the password, and then I just saved that doc on my desktop. So
That's to get into SharePoint?
Yep.
But I believe that on his computer, he actually has it here.
I did, so I'm.
Oh, you know, try this.
Because he needs the password to get into Microsoft right now. To get into his email
Yeah.
and to get into his.
So, and now that I have another one for Outlook.
Right, yeah, he's got files like that, but he's not able to get into Microsoft login right now. On his phone, but not on that little computer. It's on his computer at home probably.
Let's do that another time.
Yeah.
Yes,
We got stuff.
yes.
Just let me know when there.
Okay.
Friday, Saturday.
All right, so, what else did you
So we need to start our work meeting.
No, yeah, I was talking about general fund.
Oh.
Anything else, I'm just looking at you.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so, for this, for our work meeting, let's start back. So let's talk about, our schedule first. And the proposed schedule for June, July, and August. We have a little more information on that now. So, we have our public hearing next week. And the way that the posting ended up going on, there are only one item that was validly posted, and that is the mayor's ordinance. The other two items, chapter 60 and chapter 3, will have to be put on another public hearing.
Also, we should.
So it'll be short. Well, no, we can't take it off the public hearing, but we will have to have another public hearing for those, because of the way they were posted. So, what I want to know is a couple of things. I want to know how you guys feel about having, a public hearing. The thing that the open house, the last
There's,
30 minutes.
there is a problem. Do you have my calendars like that?
Which part?
On the part that is upcoming meetings. I wanted to actually spoke.
Okay.
Well, originally it was 21st, right? I mean, to the.
No, it's the 20th, it's always. Because we had talked about a weekend day.
So Thursday, the 20th, because I'm, yeah.
But the time of that. It is 3:15 to 7:30.
Right, so there's no reason we can have the signs up and have a public hearing too, right? We can have our signs up. Can we start at 3 and go until 6:30 and then have a public hearing at 6:30?
What is
starting at 3 or what?
This is the open house.
The open house is listed here at 3:15 to 7:30.
It's so that people can come, like you said, if you have a dinner time, a lot of people aren't gonna come. If you have it open a wide range of time, and people aren't gonna be here from 3 to 7, they're gonna come in, ask their questions and leave, and we
So
may
I'll
say.
cover you, we don't get to work, I'll cover your environment.
No, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about, it doesn't seem like open houses were, how many hours?
I'm in long, but that's what we decided last time, that was what was decided, so that's why we're sticking. I know, it's long, but what I'm saying is.
I don't know that we have.
I mean,
You know, we-
I'm coming in late and I apologize for that.
And we should have seen,
Yeah, and we can.
and we'd also have to make sure we leave ourselves.
Sure.
I don't know your view, that could be my contribution, so, we should have food. Okay, so what I wanna know is if you guys would be willing to have a public hearing, on that night too, do it at 6:30, are you willing? The reason,
The night we're going to have the,
yeah, so we don't have to have an extra meeting.
okay, stop. How long is the open house?
3:15 to 7:30.
Right.
So we've got 4 hours? Okay,
I would,
and then we're supposed to have
No.
a public hearing?
At 6:30, we're gonna put it in the middle, we're gonna keep our signs up, we're gonna dual purpose, we're gonna multitask possibly. That's what I'm bringing up so much.
I would prefer to do it the following week, public hearing. I think I'm pretty sure I'll be involved in the setup of that.
Okay.
And then the takedown of that. And the second bandwidth to prepare for. There will be no work meeting, like I was prepared for next week's public hearing. On both ordinances, but not the 60. I really wanted to bring up the sign ordinance back, because that's ready to go. I made all the changes that we discussed, Larry.
So you'll have to ask these guys if they have another day of the month to spend in June. Because let me finish my thoughts here, because I would like to not have a meeting on July 3rd. Correct. I would like to have no meeting, that it's a holiday, I have to be singing at a concert, and the town has a celebration, so
So
I
I would not have a
we
word.
would not have any meeting there, we only, in July, we would only have a July 10th meeting.
And then no Kevin meeting.
Yeah, no Kevin.
meeting. Then
I did email and really give them a heads up.
No, what meeting?
The third.
general plan meeting.
Oh.
And
So
so,
July, we're thinking we'll only have a meeting on the 10th, and that will be our regular meeting, there will be no public hearing in July. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, so we just need,
That's the second Wednesday.
yes, that will be the second Wednesday, so the first Wednesday you're on, second Wednesday you're on, third and fourth you're on. Okay, and then we will plan for another year, that would. Did you look at your schedule?
What about June 26th?
June 26th.
that's what I was suggesting for the public hearing. That would give us time to get things to Crystal.
Yes, but now the 25th is
Town council.
town council, and so I wondered if we wanted, they're gonna have what they want, so just.
Are they meeting on the 19th too?
I don't know.
The 18th is town.
I
council.
don't,
I have the 19th as
let me
town
tell you
council.
what I got.
Wednesday the 19th.
Okay, from
Huh?
Crystal today, she said, from Crystal today, town council, June 25th and July 16th, that's from Crystal today. That was news to me, but that is what she told me today.
Okay.
You
June,
said,
yeah, June 25th and July 16th. I said, what are the town council meeting dates for June and July? I said, the 18th and the 23rd. She said, June is the 25th, July is the 16th.
I have a work meeting on the 19th, is that us?
You can erase that. It might be the,
That was in the perfect world.
that was our perfect schedule before we couldn't get clerks and life got crazy.
and then July 16th,
Nope,
you said,
oh, July 16th for town council, yes.
okay,
Sorry.
so not the 17th, but the.
16th is what Chris was saying.
Thank you.
Yes, okay. So back to a public hearing, we do need to have one. And we're not going to go like,
We could do the 27th.
I don't know if anyone can, an extra day. I would,
We're open the 26th or the 27th of June. Speaking for you, Barry.
anyone? So 26th or the 27th of,
Well, then the problem becomes somebody to.
that's what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying, I tentatively got a meet, like, okay, the same night as. So, if there, can we help you extra to make sure? Is there anything,
Ever voting, or is it?
no, it's just only public hearing, we won't vote on any of that, anything that, we're gonna try to do our regular
Voting,
July 10th, is when we will vote on this.
no, we're on the 12th, that one we'll vote on.
Yes, we'll only be voting on the mayor's ordinance.
Okay. What's the problem, chapter 30?
Yes. Do you think it'd be weird to have a public hearing and open house here?
Yes.
And also the. So I talked to Heath today, by the way, it was great, and just, here's the good news. He felt like, the ordinance was coming up, I showed him the two of our ordinances, and he was like, yeah. One person who liked the divisions of the transit lodging as far as usefulness, he felt like it was, he didn't endorse them, but he said legally we're on the right track.
So we have to educate the public about the change in time. From this advertising.
Okay, so, well, we just have to let them know the public hearing would be the part too, right? Because they can still come, it's an open public meeting, they can still come and look at me. Yeah, forget about that.
I would not, I don't know, I would personally feel good about that, I don't know about anyone else.
Have to be during the meet the open house. Yeah, I think.
At
As much as they
I think-
can do.
You would, okay, what about you?
Should be a different.
Okay, I'm fine,
Should be a different.
I will work on it first.
Appreciate you trying to manage the meeting.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
I'm okay.
I will be protected of those.
What if we did a public hearing before the town council? I'm just thinking of the clerks.
I know you're trying to juggle, needs here. The open house is a one-time thing, and I think it ought to be a one-time thing, and we should keep our regular schedules going to the meeting.
Yes, but we do need to have, because we're not gonna, we'll be on first of July, we do need to have a public hearing. On a couple of items, so
we're meeting
July
July 10th.
so you guys have 26 and 27.
Yes.
What about Monday the 26th?
Monday the
Wednesday.
24th?
Oh, I looked at August, so sorry, my mistake.
So we're not available Monday, June 24th.
What about
I
July
said
1st?
it wrong. No. Oh, I don't know, I think,
We could do July 2nd.
oh, then here we're back in July.
We could do the 1st. We could do the 26th, the 27th, and probably even the Friday, the 28th.
We got July 1st.
We could do July 1st.
July 26th and 7th.
No, June.
Yes.
Prior to the end of the month.
You want to post it? You want to be able to.
We want it posted before the last week.
We want to post it before that.
So that would be, if it was July 1st, go back 3 weeks, that gives us till Monday to get the stuff in the first. My stuff is already going to sign ordinance. I just have to, I'll make sure you look at the changes, they're in red.
Yeah, that's
and I'll
the
change it.
And then it's on your phone, so you
So,
Well, Saturday afternoon, Saturday,
Darlene, you can show us the sign ordinance, we'll have
which meeting?
the 12th, we'll have 10 minutes that we can go over
Yeah,
ordinance.
yeah, I just made, I took
So what
copious notes.
ordinances will we be voting on?
Well,
Changes.
we will be voting on the mayor's ordinance that she wrote that had the response to the emergency size ordinance. Emergency house size ordinance, whatever you're voting on. That's it.
Well,
And we'll discuss
I got,
that.
a couple of.
We should be. We should take a minute to go over that.
I would really like to, we're trying to look at that, find it.
The mayor.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, I have,
I haven't. But we'll need to know.
okay, but let's get the date nailed down before we move on and forget. When,
I'm thinking July first would be easier on Crystal. It's the same week, not the same day as a regular meeting. And it would still allow us to post in June.
I would rather not have to do it in July, I would rather do it the last week in June, for sure.
I'm good with the 27th. I don't think we should be back to back. But I'm good with the 27th, even the 28th, but I don't know how that's gonna work first.
So it's almost like since you're not gonna do the July 3rd, you could do it the week before on the 27th.
Yeah,
But see, she already has, she comes, meeting that.
Well, but then the next week she won't have to,
Yes, there's.
for the holiday.
There's a selling point.
Yes.
when is the meeting?
That's a carrot.
Yeah, it's a carrot,
They don't have to come next week.
yeah,
They get the whole holiday week off.
yeah, that's a carrot.
Let's try for that. Let's try for the 27th.
Okay, and the 27th, at the time, 6 P.M.
Yes.
Okay,
And I mean, is that okay with everybody?
6 P.M. you guys? Okay, now,
This is June,
June 27th.
Okay, and go back to, that means everything's due tomorrow. We can get it by the 10th, I think we're good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go in tomorrow and negotiate, so she remember it, she'll be okay, she's already made the sign. Already got the sign.
Time.
For mine.
So she'll just have to
Time.
do one thing.
And mine's
6 P.M.
My stuff is ready,
Okay,
so,
so send that to me, then I'll see it tomorrow.
And that will be a public hearing or just
That's just a public
Just a
hearing,
public hearing.
so hopefully it will be short. But I'll say that and then it'll be crazy.
okay. The time for people.
That's great, I know it's a good thing.
All good.
Okay, so I had. So when we were at the attorney today, he and also the guys from town council as well as the town council is working on, protocols for ordinances and posting. We need to do that. We have most of that. We have our ordinance protocol that we did in the very beginning, but we do need to have, just the protocols we like to have calendar posting, so I'll take care of that, but just so you know, that's what we're working on. And to get to town council sometime in the next couple months, so. That's from the attorney, and that will hopefully address, any confusion we had with posting and who posts and when it gets posted, you know, all that, should take care of that, and as far as when a deadline, when we need to get things from the mayor or town council, all of that, so we'll put that in this.
Beauty of protocols.
Yeah, the protocol, we'll have resolution for that, which I'll try to have to show you on our meeting on the 12th. Okay? And then the team is set in and look at faces and.
So we also have two things. We have a rezone,
Yes,
correct?
so, are you guys, I haven't posted the agenda yet for, are you guys, you can't be here at 5:30 on the 12th, can you? Okay, we can do 5:30, we can't.
I'm driving home from Salt Lake.
That's right.
Okay, I will be here, but making it earlier makes it harder.
Okay, so
I'm
let's,
planning on 6.
I'm worried about that drive. I hate that. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so the zone change is, let's talk really quick about the zone, the two things we're voting. On the 12th. The zone change is,
Residential zone.
it's a zone change from,
Residents, rural
from
residents.
rural residential to highway resort. That's the next thing we talk about.
So do you have a hard copy?
I copy one on another computer. But I should put on next to keep notes. I'll show you. So it's, I did it.
Oh. But people did.
Your people.
So anyway, so it is off the road, it's up, it's on top of it's elevated,
There's some grading out there.
On the hill.
Too.
it's got sheer cliffs on both sides. It's Abdalton Wash Road, is that right? You know which one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's the parcel, there, we can't consider the development plans, but there are none, that I found that out. And there's really nothing, based on our ordinances, we really don't, there's no reason not to approve it as eligible. No, or
It's currently rural
it's
residential.
currently rural residential, and it is in, geographically, it is in our
Highway.
highway zone, so we don't really have grounds to not rezone it now. Whatever it gets, whatever is developed into, I was told that that's gonna be a struggle for anyone, so they'd be surprised they can do much at all about that piece of property. But that, no one's for any plan, then we can't consider that anything zone change, all we can consider is if it is a place where it can be zoned out, and if they ask for it, we have to give it to them, unless there's a
Our new social protection law building would eliminate that though.
The what?
That hillside protection zone would eliminate that.
right, and that's why we need to get that done, so that the ordinance that talks about hillside protection.
It is,
Yeah.
posted.
No, we don't need to do it now, we just need to get it, we want to develop, it would just need to be, because it's on a hillside, we need to make sure that we have adequate for anybody that's developing on a hillside, we need to make sure we have adequate guidelines, so that's on our, it's on our list of things to do. In fact, if you look at this, for August, like, the three things that we need to get here. Yeah, right there. Look in here. That was one, just wanted to take note. So this is what I'd like to have on a public hearing, this is in August, that's what I'd like to shoot for.
But I did start on this, like at the beginning of the year. There was so much else that came up that.
That's right, we've all invested now. The other thing is, I do think it's important that we turn our focus, I think if we get through those that are listed on July and August, we can get those really heroic, and I think we'll be pretty covered until we get our, I mean, obviously, that will probably get stuff thrown at us from town council, but I think turning our efforts for the general plan and really focusing on that is correct. I think making any more ordinance, I think we covered our bases, it's better to wait for any big.
And the live work thing that I kind of worked on, should I submit that in the SharePoint and get input? or-
Anything you've worked on, take a look at it, it's absolutely,
And
yes,
then,
Ordinance was under development.
ordinance is kind of, yeah, there's room for that, but I would love to have an email copy.
I think I sent it to you, and I also,
No, you did.
it was on SharePoint once.
SharePoint is unreliable, make sure you always have a backup, always send an extra copy to someone.
And then I went to find it again, but
Yeah, that happens a lot, but they're working on it. Yeah. So I'm sorry about that.
I didn't put it there.
It's,
Anyway,
yeah, there's a, it's kind of like a surprise box.
I shared it with,
Okay, so did you see that, Ken? On your note, link to the notes.
it's just,
This is your, this, I'm just showing you, this shows this kind of one. These are the things we'd like to have for August. This one would be, we'd like to have for our, hearing on the 27th. You can get your writing ordinance, the dark sky. That would be awesome sauce, but, okay, and we can at least,
Talk about it.
talk about it, but that's on the list, please.
Multiple times.
yes,
Will, so this was just proposed here. These were the things for the public hearing, but we have moved this public hearing. Rather than doing it during the open, we're gonna do it on the 27th, 6 P.M. Yeah,
and we're sitting on the-
okay,
We have to do code enforcement.
yeah, that's on for August. Isn't it?
They can't hire us, but why
She can, wait, I talked to her about this, she can hire, there's no hiring problem, she would just like to see that Jenny can go.
Everybody,
She would like it,
But why are we doing it? It's just, since we've already thought about it and talked about it, why aren't we doing it sooner?
because the wording is, I don't know exactly, but she did, all she cares about right now, as long as it's coming, just put it on when it works. My brain is bad with, I could think about that when we're trying to get this July one, but I can think about it. And once it's posted, as the work, we'll put it on the work, we'll put it on our meeting, the 12th on the agenda, we posted, we'll update the public on that. And then we'll try for August. And I did ask the mayor, she really did say that was fine, as long
So
as.
August first, we could have survey questions.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Ordinance wise, I don't know if we need to cover too much for the size of the, everybody needs to look at that, it came from the mayor. As it sits right now, I think that, 15% is a better number than 12, we gave it about 2 divisions of different sizes. I think, we just need to get this passed on to town council, whether we recommend denial or approval, it has to go back to them, so.
So,
Yes, so this is the ordinance. And then all sizes are simply right. Here. And the period sign and here. That's the. 12% for each of those week. This is the whole ordinance. There's nothing else to it. And then again here. So. I asked about the grandfathering clause on that particular ordinance, having it, or sunset clause, not grandfathering, sorry, sunset clause on that, and he recommended against that it needs to be a permanent ordinance. Since there's one written, right? So, yes, that was.
when you say sunset law, what are you?
So, I had a question on this particular ordinance, whether or not we should. You know, sort of the general concern, as members, you know, I mean.
He probably said that, if you want to change it in the future, you could,
Well,
rather than
we have, well,
sunset, just go ahead and realize that anytime in the future.
yes, and the town council actually asked us to keep working on the more comprehensive ordinance that was submitted to them, that Darlene and Val had been working on. So we already have something in the works, but that's the direction that the commission goes. But yes, or, yes, in the future, replace it with something else based on what we have for the general plan. Anyway. All right. So, and I'm, one of the things I want to say about that, is I feel really bad when, part of the reason for the protocols is so, when someone works on an ordinance, blood, sweat, and tears, and especially under directive, and then it gets changed, if that doesn't happen anymore, because that is brutal. So, and I feel really strong that our work is valued by, you know, the ample time we're putting in. And I felt really sad about the way all that worked out. Hope we can set rules that avoid that.
So we should talk about tomorrow night at public hearing.
And next meeting,
I mean,
yes, I do, and we will be on the discussion, absolutely. And so please have your comments, you know, whatever, and have ready what you would like. Any notes you want on the recommendation you send to town council, make sure you have those, so you can give them to me, so I can put it on a form. We've got forms now for everything, so.
Larry, does this ordinance affect you and Sherry? As far as neighborhood concerned, is this an issue that the result of that?
It would eliminate the casita for me, that was a tentative plan by the law next door. There's lots to do the casita, but I'm already exceeding square footage, so.
What is your current square footage in there?
Our house is 38. And I think there's some change now to just living space,
It
right?
was supposed to, no, it was supposed to be space that, as my understanding, was that it was supposed to be living space, but the posted ordinance says all structures, which to me changes the map, to me, that makes that size too small.
So, like,
So if you have that,
Right, which.
which I could rebuild it at the current time.
You couldn't rebuild it. And that's not probably what would be formally innovative. You know, I'm struggling with the numbers that are on there right now. If it includes outbuildings, I was fine with them, and I understood it if it was living space, indoor living space. I did, I got it. But I'm struggling now because it's not, and it will actually create housing that is not, and there's not gonna be continuity in neighborhoods like Larry. So I'm struggling with that. I think the ordinance we had before answered that better, much better. So anyway,
How much land?
I think we make it really clear. I think we make it really clear what we think should happen.
In this work meeting, can we discuss these things?
Yeah, it's just a time thing. Everyone seems tired, but I don't know what to say.
So I'm trying to make sure I have a basic foothold to vote on this.
Yes,
And I want to, know, is the mayor directing this towards the future? I know she's not directing it towards, existing homes and people, but is she directing it towards something that is critical with large building developments in a particular area or throughout town?
it's throughout town, which this was directed to housing throughout the town. She cites, water and septic tanks sort of as, and not having structures that are too large to fit the neighborhood and its residential character, as the basis. And that's the same basis that the, town used for the emergency ordinance, which this is replacing because it expires.
Okay.
So that's the urgency. So, and this came down from her in a
Okay.
We had some input on the numbers, but then some of the wording changed. So the input we had numbers didn't really apply. Remember, I was calling you guys and trying to get your feedback. And then some of the wording changed on that in the final version, so the numbers that we kind of come up with became.
And how big is your property?
So I just did the math. With my,
And I see this not so much as personal, but then I'm getting a feeling for how it's affecting people.
Right, and the
It's not
continuity.
Larry and Sherry.
Yeah, no, but the continuity of that neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
so my total square footage under roof is 6,900 right now. That's RV garage at 1,500 for the 800 square foot house, a 600 square foot attached garage. Probably over 1,000 square feet of patios that are.
I think it says everything.
It's not an outbuilding.
So is patio included in
And one of them was.
Are they installations that can include
Dwellings and residential.
what did you say is your living space?
My house is 38, my RV garage is almost 16, my attached garage is 600. My,
So 6,900 is your total.
You have a detached garage as well as attached.
yeah, so I have a detached RV garage attached, 300.
What's the size of your lot?
It's a half acre.
It's a half acre.
And I bought the lot next door with the idea that I could merge it and add a casita there. For another law,
That didn't work out with that planning or the HOA.
That would work out with the HOA. There are several people that have done that. There's two of them under construction right now where they merge lots and are adding casitas. Full house.
The language reads dwellings in the residential zone. Very rural residential.
Yes.
It mentions it in two different places. It's got residential and then rural residential, yes.
There are two.
But our lot sizes are smaller than the average, or than the. rural
It's
residential.
still, it's shall not exceed dwellings. Whichever is greater, including casitas and any outbuildings, doesn't mention that.
So I think it should, I personally think it's gonna include outbuildings in garages and stuff.
So like 50 there, 50,000.
Yeah, I think we're way low. Particularly conservative continuity, so. I think let's think part about a number that we can use right.
And what does that continuity create in residential areas?
A lot, I mean,
Why should he tell me?
Well, that's, okay, well, no. So in theory, like in principle, I actually fundamentally disagree with telling people what size house they can build. I think you and other parameters that make, I mean, in the ideal world, that's not what we're doing. We're dealing with this is the ordinance we need to answer. It's not something that interesting thing the way that we would like. But it's what they've asked for, and we are required to send it back to them. So we can say what we want about it, we can vote on that if we want, but we have to hold a public hearing, we have to give our input, and we. Oh, look, there's not, but I'm talking general, I definitely, I disagree with that, but when we had this other, remember, we had another ordinance that addressed things differently, and conceptually, I was much better with that. I was saying, you know.
Could that be a circumstance with two septics?
You could, like I probably do, is what I have to do, is I could set it, but you can see that,
Yeah, but that would be a law, right?
right, but it would be allowed because of the ordinance.
No,
Right. So there's circumstances where, and I don't,
because the
Why did
standard
you
is.
join the law? You have to join the law.
so in our neighborhood, we have a square footage, so you either have to go with a
Big,
24 inch living house with 1,000 foot patio, 3-car garage, or I go with casita if I combine the lots. And
and there is a lot of that in the neighborhood.
there's two under construction right now. And
So,
my problem is that it doesn't fix the problems it's supposed to fix.
right,
I mean, so if I built a casita and tied it in my existing septic, which might be legal, then I would be probably overusing my existing septic. But a septic system, a separate septic system, which would be legal or would be illegal, it would better handle the sewer than what the town is trying to eliminate. So having a separate septic tank for two outbuildings doesn't, if I had a 10-acre property and I had a garage with an apartment above it in one corner, and a mile away is or 700 feet away is my house, and I don't have fall, then how do
you don't.
I put a pump and I put in 700 feet of line, or do I put in another septic system? Well, this new ordinance, I couldn't put in a septic system because it's limited to 1,500 gallon. If the issue is nitrates, then that's what Ash Creek is for, where it tells us that, you know, this is down because septic system you need for that house. If the issue is occupancy and SDRs, then let's address that. Let's not punish, you know, folks that want something that's not,
Yes, I,
it's a very personal thing for me, because it affects me personally, obviously.
yeah,
But it's also goes against my values as a property owner, as a property developer, and as a 30-year real estate broker, right? I feel like it's an abuse, it's social engineering, you know, we're telling people that we only want this kind of house in our town.
and that would be unfortunate if the aim was something different, that would be unfortunate.
Yeah, and I understand what they're trying to fix, but I don't feel like it's fixing anything. It doesn't fix the issue that we're trying to fix. And there's been, you know, probably 10 people that have written letters to the town that have suggestions on how to fix it, which are all better than what we're looking at. But
What numbers, or what factors would like create the terrible part? Nothing, I mean, we're,
so, and I'm reading some of the whereas, and then to me it makes sense, but, again, if occupancy is what we're trying to limit, then square footage doesn't limit occupancy. I could put a bunk room in my garage and have 40 beds on a 3,000 square foot house.
right, but yes, I understand, but as far as this ordinance not affecting your situation, because I think it's a little bit typical of that neighborhood in a negative way. But, you know, in too much of a negative way, like the existing homeowners, what would mitigate the impact?
Is there a number you mean?
Is there a number, would you say you can't limit it?
It would be-
Would you say you can hook into your septic tank?
I already have 2 3/4 inch water services on my 2 lots. I merged in my husband, I'm actually at 2, and now I become illegal. I have,
Because it's already in.
if I build a septic system or build a casita and I did a septic system with a casita, so I don't overtax my existing septic system, that's illegal. The square footage I have now is probably either at the edge or gonna exceed it, and if I exceed it, then I'm over. So the only option
You
I'm left,
combine lots with square footage, I mean, is it an acre? It's 1 acre.
it's 2.5, or so each lot is 0.53 acres. So it's
Okay,
like-
so if the parameters were different so what if it was up to 0.99 acres and the parameters were different for 1 acre?
Well, everything in rural is supposed to be before our development is.
So, but I mean, what is, there's a bigger parameter, the new numbers. At 15%, you would have 50. Oh, but then they added the outgoings, so, I see what you're saying. I was thinking living space, at 15%, you would be able to do that.
Yeah, so 15% of an acre is less square footage than I have currently with my daddy.
Because the word instead of living, instead of just living space, we can call that, and I think that, so, actually, a number of the mayor threw out a long time ago, I don't know if she changed her mind, I'm just saying that's where I got this idea, is she said that a blanket number way back when was 6,800 square feet.
So 6,800 square
That would
foot,
be, that would leave from your 69.
right, that's 6,800 square foot vacation home. It's probably bigger than the two that we already have. Vacation rentals.
Right, so what I'm saying is I think it's a mistake to have outbuildings included, I think this should always be living space.
Right, and I still, like you said, fundamentally disagree with looking for somebody square footage on piece of private property.
So they, yeah,
If it meets the setbacks and height and. So, I'm pretty positive unless something changes drastically, I'm have to find which way to vote.
right.
I think the city council has already decided which way they're going to vote, so my vote's not gonna matter.
Well, but our recommendations made. You see what I'm saying? So let's make sure we have a solid reasoning for what our opinions are, and we can include them all in what we send to the town council, I think. I think,
Yeah, if nitrates in the river or what our issue is, then limiting septic size doesn't fix that.
What's the issue with the homeowners association? The homeowners association, what is their issue? You say they're the ones that, are stopping you from combining the lots?
No, the homeowners association would, I mean, there's, like, right now, there's two that have been buying, there are 2 half-acre lots, 8-acre lots, so they could add a casita and a pool house.
So the homeowners association would allow you to include both lots
Yes,
in their calculation.
yeah, so I would be allowed to merge my lots to build a casita through the HOA, but if this ordinance passed, I couldn't do it
If you,
because I would exceed the square footage on my lot.
this ordinance won't allow you to combine the lots.
I could still combine them, but I
Yeah.
couldn't build anything on it if I combined it. I'm already exceed my square footage.
So I'm confused, which is normal at this point in my life. But, so I have to learn to laugh at it. But I understand that it's not a problem with the homeowners association
Yes,
for you to use both lots to build what you want to build.
yes. Within,
And their ordinance, what's the formula for their ordinance that allows that? How come they allow you to combine both lots? Is there a maximum square
so we
footage?
don't have any maximum square footage, we have a minimum square footage, we have a minimum around the garage space and a minimum amount of. We encourage people to park their vehicles where you can't see from the street, which a garage does, but if you want them behind the garage, you're gonna have cars parked on the street, so. Again, it doesn't help the problem.
So, indoor living space, do you have again, not just indoor living space, not outbuildings, not casita?
30,
Primary dwelling square footage, what do you have?
30.
38, okay, that's important, 38.
And they're civil house bigger than mine.
Yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying that if the wording on this was, you know, the primary structure, the home, the single family home living area, rather than plus all the outbuildings, then are you good at putting it under hardship on existing residents or not?
Do you have a copy of that here? The new one?
Yes,
The one I had highlighted?
Anyway, so we have a lot to think about with the recommendations as we go and we talk about this. We do have a copy.
and still trying to figure out the process, but I don't understand why we just haven't limited the occupancy in an SDR.
They are, there is existing right now, there is an occupancy limit of 10 and 5 bedrooms.
Responsible than 5 bedrooms, subjects or basement bedrooms. And how many bedrooms do you have?
I have 4 bedrooms.
So there's capacity for 1 more.
Or am I 50 minutes, 70%?
But,
And clarification on 4,800 square feet of living area or 12% of parcel, whichever is great, including casitas and any outbuildings, so that would include the garage,
that's
right?
what we're saying.
Right, and I did have a homeowner ask me that, and I thought it was just living space, so I need to make that clear.
Because one of the versions was.
Yes.
Yes, so this version is not. So, I think that recommending the language just cover, the living area and the primary dwelling, because that's.
Why are we just limiting it on SDR? Just like, why are we limiting it on
Well, so,
residences?
well, this is a good time to bring this up. So for the request for action, we don't have the reasoning on it completely. We don't have the reasoning, but whether it requires them to give us that.
It's in the whereas.
It is in the whereas.
We have whereas.
Yeah, it's in the whereas, so it is in the ordinance, the rationale, and so that it doesn't mention STRs in that at all. And so,
So here's where we're at, whereas commercial uses are prohibited in all residential zones. What does that have to do with my square footage? You know, so that doesn't apply to this.
it's nothing but that was.
Whereas a dwelling used for transient lodging become commercial use, well then, why do we allow it?
Well, so part of those things right there are the reasons it's so important for us to get the transient lodging stuff through. Because, I just think that.
Whereas the town has determined it's in the best interest of health and safety and welfare of residents of Virgin to require the limit building sizes, how does that improve my health and well-being? So. I
Valid reasons have done this, there's some every, they're all at 3,500, so we're actually larger.
Park City, there's like 15,000 square foot houses in Park
Just
City.
to have a footprint,
Oh, footprint, so they can go high,
so that's,
and no 3-story yards. Sorry, basement.
Parts of the
But that question to you wise people,
Well,
why don't I make an amendment, not today, but what if I make an amendment to this, ordinance?
For this one, oh,
Next week.
Next week.
What,
Next. Not tomorrow.
next week? Why don't I make an amendment, or what if I made an amendment? That it doesn't include existing developments or homeowners associations.
That eliminates, the mayor's trying to fix it.
first of all, we can't amend this ordinance. We can motion to recommend that those changes be made. We can make a motion that those changes be made. But we can't,
recommend approval or not.
yeah, approval or not, this is sort of like, because it didn't come from
This
us.
is not ours.
Yeah, so if we offer one,
She's creating.
yeah,
Sending it to us.
right, if you had written it and you wanted to say, let's send it to town council with this amendment, because you wrote it, and it was allowable based on public hearing, or you had a, it was a change that was allowable, then you could do that, but with this, it's written and it's a request for action, we have to send it directly back with it.
All right,
We can only recommend what we think, we can do that.
we can recommend what we,
We can send with our recommendation our thoughts.
and how do we title that? How do we?
We have
We
a
recommend approval.
we recommend approval. And we send it with the form, with our form, which has, our reasoning or denial or approval and arguments, and does it, a form that's gonna go with all our ordinances.
So I could say to you next week that I would like to, vote no with the recommendation to make this change, and then we would vote on that, and if we approved it as approved, then we would pass it on.
That's right.
Okay.
Doesn't matter which way it goes.
And we can also add, even if it's not part of the motion, we can add a note in the that we decide that's not to be part of the motion. We can with the dissenting opinion, or majority opinion, we can add our comments. So, I mean, send, it doesn't have to be ordinance, they get to read it. Okay, any other? I don't know if Darlene's finished, actually, I think we might have. You know,
It's not the personal fact.
But
It's a,
I would like to hear the rest of your rationale, if you have any more.
I explained it, I thought, rather well at the last public hearing,
You did.
and I'm not going to sway anyone. And, this is not my ordinance.
No, this is not.
I do think we have concerns for our, impermeable surfaces.
I agree.
I think that is, and to not acknowledge that and covering all the ground is not appropriate in this environment. And I can't, although I like, just because I can, doesn't mean I should. Leave it at that. Just because I can do something, doesn't mean I should, that it's the best for the community.
I think we all appreciate that we're gonna impermeable stuff, but.
So we will, number one to you, is it the groundwater problem?
It's the coverage of the ground with hard impermeable surfaces.
So
That I'm looking at a place next to me now. That is going to be 48, almost 49% impermeable surfaces. They have 2 small catch basins. And, that's not a good recipe because there's extensive documentation. And I always try to be generous to honor the other viewpoints. That if you go above 30% coverage of hard impermeable surfaces, then when we get these storms, it's going to be the people who live around here who are going to suffer.
And I feel like there's ways to mitigate that. Giving that, my example was I own 2 pieces of property in Washington County, or Washington City. One, they dictated to me how big of a catch basin I had to make for the size of my parking lot, the size of my building. This is what we feel like it's gonna take to absorb that water and put it back in the groundwater. The other subdivision I have a lot in has a one catch basin for the entire neighborhood, with the understanding that a majority of these buildings are commercial buildings with large parking lots, so that has been engineered and has been, not by me, but by the town, or I guess it was submitted by an engineer to the town.
Yeah, I don't think we have a strong storm wastewater infrastructure in this town.
I feel like.
That would make those feasible, and also if you research catch basins, they have to be maintained. And if
Yes.
water sits in them, we have the additional problem of mosquitoes.
I get suspected every year, if it's not, if there's sediment in it, I have to remove the sediment, I have to pay to have it inspected every single year.
And if you compare, the limit of the 30% covered and the effect on the groundwater table versus a catch basin, the permeable surface is better at preserving groundwater. And when our river is a source and our groundwater feeds into the river through our springs, more springs than you would know.
Yeah.
And that river gives a lot of people water. And it's,
So if the water runs off the surface and goes into the river, how different is that than going to the ground?
purity. And it's immediate, and then it's gone. Groundwater is more seeping. those springs seep out. And it's cleaner.
Right.
Yeah, that is, it is the filter.
I just wish there was some acknowledgement of, there are some valid reasons.
So I think that,
And I agree.
I think everybody agrees with the runoff and impermeable surfaces. I think you have a ton of support with that, your other one. I was gonna ask you, I mean, your sense generally, this would not be how you would, this ordinance does that, address that, you would, I wouldn't think.
It's not my ordinance.
Yes, I
would say it's better
Than
than doing nothing. I think more needs to be done. I'm already thinking of ways to acknowledge the unique circumstance
Yes.
and how we can change it in the wording of the ordinance Val and I are working on. Maybe to move away, from a percentage in rural residential, because you are rural residential, you get that happy. Because you have open space that's dedicated, and so I can find a place for compromise there, but I want to dig into, I'd love to run those figures by you. Because I do hear that, you know, that, and it's gotta be written in the ordinance, so it honors that, whether it's a traditional one acre like mine or yours, because you have that open space there. You know what I'm
To
saying?
develop.
Correct. So I'm interested in playing around with that, and that could be as simple as, figuring out, having a hard number and not a percentage in that section.
And I know that the mayor was trying to figure out a way to exclude Rio because it's a planned development,
This would be better.
but I still, again, fundamentally opposed to it. Even if I were excluded from it, I still think that if I bought a 10-acre piece over here, and I wanted to put up a shop with an apartment and a house over here, this one shop here, and farm back here, that I should be able to do that.
So I have to say, I love this discussion because I think we're getting the breadth of the situation and everybody's in detail. I'm really grateful.
That's why it's.
I like this too.
I'm grateful we have personalities in this room that can have this discussion. I'm serious. That is so good for our town. That has not been one.
It's very in background.
You guys rock and roll. I'm just saying, this is a good commission. I'm so proud of it.
Yes, but.
The other thing is, I think
To,
go ahead and finish.
yeah, I think we have to come to consensus that I'm not gonna get everything I would envision. You're not gonna get everything. We've gotta be willing,
And I'm
to
willing to
vote,
work
because
on
because
SDRs.
otherwise we're gonna be no different than the Senate and the House.
But I'm saying, actually,
Right, and if drainage is the issue and occupancy and SDRs are the issue, then I've got ideas of how to
But it's
work
not
on both of
just
those.
drainage, that's why I did the whole population.
right, and so I think you need to help us understand the rest of the issues in this, because I don't understand it. I'm trying to learn, I think really get it in for this.
Well, and being on a river, there's a study, I have to look it up, I have it in my file. We're at 20% the life of impermeable surfaces near rivers. That runoff really impacted the life of the river.
I don't know, that's important.
Like 80% of the population east of Mississippi lives on a river. And a lot of them are large cities, like New York and Chicago,
They got issues.
but I don't think we'll ever have, and they obviously have figured out how to, and it's all on surfaces. I mean, you go down to Chicago,
Oh, yeah.
there's a tree every half a
And
mile.
that's why Las Vegas has those horrendous floods every summer.
Well, they built basins.
Yeah.
And
And
This is the other thing,
On Rio de Sion, I understand that they allow smaller lots because they have dedicated area that is not going to be built on.
that was floodplain.
So is that basically the floodplain area that is that dedicated area?
So there's the river lots, majority of them have a buildable envelope in the floodplain, and then beyond their lot to the river, there's common area for the Rio de Zion, and it's, varies in width from 20 to maybe 100 feet, all the way around the whole development for, and it was supposed to, at one time, I think it did have a path, and it got flooded, believe it or not.
What entity was involved, or is supposed to be involved in determining that formula that says, okay, we're gonna let you do this development and homeowners association, if you set it aside this much acreage, is it the city that determines
Town
that?
council that did, so the developer bought it, a developer bought it and put together a plan of development, I guess, as opposed to just a regular subdivision, and said, I know that some shows they have to be minimum 1 acre lots, but if we do half acre lots and set it aside.
And I would guess that that was probably, 2005 to 2008, when those things were decided.
Yes,
And I would guess that that was probably,
Yes.
I'm trying to bring it, Lee Ballard, Lori Rose,
and I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know I don't think so, I don't know.
don't you think so?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just thinking, because
Well,
I,
it was a
there's a lot of
CMP.
things about what they did that I really admire.
Yeah,
And I think they really thought deeply about community and and planning rather than an environment,
mhm.
rather than, economics.
I don't know that,
Yeah, it was-
but I like your theory.
It's a 70 acre development with 68 lots. So the average, so if each acre, each lot was an acre, and they would still be less than that.
So, if just for time, I think everyone agrees that this ordinance probably won't cut it for long, probably will need to keep working. So I hear that as a consensus at least.
It's on the same, it's like the billboard ordinance that install our signage problems.
Yes, got it. This
That's
is
why I
our-
want that sign.
Yeah, and that's, did you see, it's on there, yes, we're honoring that. So, all right. So are there more solutions, more comments for tonight? Or what?
Motion that we adjourn our work meeting.
I second it.
All in favor? Aye, we adjourn, we're adjourning this meeting at 8:13.